When you think about femininity, usually the first thing is softness, dressing freely, elegant, womanly, and very pretty and demure. But femininity starts within. And today we're going to talk about that. We're going to share 7 things that we need to do. Firstly, when you think about a feminine woman who loves herself, who is magnetic, who is elegant, she does not chase a man. We do not chase men. Back in my 20s, I felt like I had to remind a guy that I was there. But the truth of the matter is, if this man is right for you, if he is aligned with you, all you have to do is show up. And then you will see if you're compatible. And you don't have to put in all the hard work of convincing him that you are the one for him. Because if there's one thing I know, if a man wants you, he is going to put all the work in to impress you, to show you that he is the one, that he measures up to your standards. You don't have to be desperate to settle down. Focus on yourself. Do your best for yourself and for God. Mr. Right will show up when you least expect him. And if you're married, let your husband lead. You don't have to compete with him or jockey ahead of him. You know, I feel so protected and so soft when my husband takes care of things. All I have to do is be there. He consults me. It's a good decision. Sometimes he surprises me with things. Another thing that is so put offish and not feminine at all is just always trying to control the situation. Whether this is in your romantic relationships, friends, family, you don't always have to be the one talking and taking over the conversations. Everything has to go my way. Now, that doesn't mean that we are a little mouse and we stay in the background and not let our thoughts be heard. That's not what I'm saying at all, because that's a whole nother end of the spectrum there. But what I'm saying is that we don't always have to push our voice out there and not listen to anyone else's opinions, not listen to anyone else's thoughts. That is a very masculine trait. Women are the softer sex, right? We are the feminine one. But a lot of times we're afraid to show our vulnerability. We're built that way. We're more vulnerable, and it is okay to show that. We don't always have to be on the front lines showing that we are the strong woman. That's something that really turns me off and bothers me, because women, we put ourselves out there ahead of men who should be taking the lead when there's an extremely challenging situation. You know, you see women on the news and in articles, on videos, even on YouTube, and they are fist pumping and exhausting themselves and bringing so much stress on themselves, being the mule, carrying all this weight on our shoulders. That's not what we need to do. We don't want to be that person doing that. We want to embrace our vulnerability. Let people protect us. Let people do for us. You know, we're not men. Letting a man stand back while you stand up front, fighting and protecting for him. There's different situations. I'm not saying that if someone hurts someone you love, you should not stand there and show your emotions that, you know, you want some type of justice or you want him to be helped. But standing out there, being the voice with the megaphone for people we don't even know, that is something that I will not do, and that is not feminine. And I don't suggest you do that either. I'm not telling you what to do, of course, but I don't suggest it, because it puts so much on our mental health, and it puts it on a decline. I have seen it. Women carrying the load of men, some men who are bringing problems on themselves, but that is a completely different conversation. So my point here is just embrace vulnerability and let people take care of us. Now with that goes thinking before you speak. You know, sometimes oftentimes you can have something come up and you get in a confrontation or a disagreement and you just spill out from your emotions words that are so piercing, saying things that you don't mean because you haven't thought about it. You're just going off of your feelings, going off of your emotions, and that is so triggering to the other person. And then you have a situation that is hard to diffuse. It shows that you have no restraint. And so doing that is just something that you want to step away from. Now, also in conversations like this, your communication, you want to really mind your tone of voice. Choosing the right tone makes the communication easier. You ever hear that term, cool, calm, and collected? Well, that's something that's really important, because when you get in a conversation, it may be heated or something hurts your feelings, someone intentionally tries to hurt your feelings, you don't want to jump off again, because that just makes it more difficult and it really adds fuel to the fire. So when you remain calm and just think about the situation, take a step back, and then you can revisit and approach that. Perhaps, hey, we need to, talk about this. But just jumping off and getting so frazzled and so angry and getting into such a big argument, you lose all of your femininity. But if you have to just walk away from it, just literally turn your back, go and collect yourself, and then revisit that situation. Let's sit down and talk about it. You haven't lost your cool. You haven't forgotten who you are, because that flying off the handle, as my dad says, does nothing to help anything. Oftentimes people feel like, I cannot let him get the best of me. I can't let her get the last word. I can't let her get the best of me. You are getting so fueled up and so fired up. It is eating you up inside, and you have completely forgotten dignity within yourself. You don't want to do that. You don't want to bring yourself down in the situation, even if that person is being so loud and so rude and hurting your feelings. The best thing to do is walk away. You'll have an opportunity to come back and maybe have a conversation when you have collected your thoughts. But two people yelling at each other and just being extremely irate does nothing to help anything in any type of relationship. Your soft approach has so much power. Think about that. This is so cliche and you've heard it a million times, but communication is key. So if there's one thing you take away from this conversation today, remember that. You want to always talk about your feelings, talk about what you need. Don't stay silent. Silent treatment in an argument that you've had, unfortunately, is not good. You have to talk things out. You have to let your feelings be known. And also with that, when the person is talking, you have to be an active listener. Because if you tune them out and you're just waiting for them to get finished so that you can get back to your point and what you're trying to say, that's not communication. That's just tuning that person out and waiting for your turn again to get your point across. We don't always have to be the only one speaking, because that's inconsiderate. And feminine women, we're not inconsiderate. We consider the feelings of others. what we want to do, and it will only have a better outcome in our relationships. Now, this may touch a few people, and I'm not saying that women do this all the time, but we can have a tendency to do it. You don't want to nag. You don't want to always be riding on his back when he makes mistakes, and men make mistakes. But we don't have to keep riding on them and throwing it in their face. Remember, don't forget to do this. Don't forget to do that. Why'd you do this? I'm not his mother. My husband had a wonderful mother. He doesn't need a second one. You know, I'm his wife. You're his wife. You're his fiance. You're his girlfriend, whatever. He doesn't need a second mother. He needs someone who is his partner that can communicate, that he can run things by, and show respect to, because trust me, he will love so much that instead of knocking down anything he's done wrong, but you've come to him and say, I have an idea, or maybe you could have done this. Let's try this. There's a different approach to correcting something that didn't quite go well. But you don't want to be like, I told you that wasn't going to go. I told you. You should have listened to me. I knew it. Because we're not always right. I'm not always right. Not in the slightest. But, you know, if I have an idea, I'll listen to it. Because I have learned that pointing out flaws like that, it gets you nowhere. It gets you nowhere but in negative feelings. And that starts chipping away at your relationship. And that is something you do not want to happen. Otherwise, your relationship is going to be so strained and unhappy. And that cuts in on any femininity that you have. Because you're sad, he's upset, you know, it's just no happiness, no peace. It cuts in on your peace. So nagging is something that is such an old school term, but that is the only term. It's like constantly dripping something on somebody's forehead. You don't want to be like that, like dripping water on somebody's forehead all the time. That's like torture and torment, and they want to get away from it. So we don't want to be that type of person. You want to be the person that he cannot wait to get home to. He cannot wait to pick you up for your date, because she's so supportive of me. Because I'm telling you, ladies, that softness, that femininity, that feminine essence has so much power. I am not here to tell you to be a Stepford wife or whatever you like, whatever he likes, and be this way. No, that's not it. What I am saying is that we're not men. We don't have to compete with men. We don't have to be hard-nosed. We don't have to pump our fists to be heard. Because the more feminine you are heard loud and clear. His ears are open to you, and trust me. So I just wanted to share that today, because in this world, it seems like we're seeing a lot of women that feel like they have to fight for their position in life. And that shouldn't be the case. That should not be the case at all. Because your God-given position is very powerful. So we don't have to fight for it and scream from the rooftops to let our voices be heard. We're being heard. And it's a beautiful thing. So thank you guys for coming through and just sitting with me again on this Sunday. I really appreciate it, and I look forward to these conversations. I'm going to have more Femininity 101 videos like this. Yeah, so until next time, you know, wherever you are in the world, I really appreciate you stopping in, and thank you so much for watching today, and I will see you on the next one. Have a good day. Bye. So Roxy, what do you think about today? Do you have anything you want to add? She said no. She just wants to say hi. Bye, everybody. Thanks for watching. Yeah. Bye.